Interstate 40 stretches across 400 miles of empty desert. They call it the loneliest road in America. Most people drive it without stopping. Just endless sand, broken towns, and silence. Between 1998 and 2003, 7 young women disappeared along that highway. 7 women, 5 years. Then, nothing. The killer just stopped. Federal investigators closed the case in 2004. No evidence, no suspects, no connection between victims, just random disappearances on a dangerous road. But 20 years later, criminal psychologist Marcus Chen mapped the disappearances and saw what nobody else saw. 6 of the 7 women made their last verified stop at the same place, Desert Rose Truck Stop, mile marker 287, and Rachel Foster's last words before she vanished? A phone call to her sister. "There's only one guy working here. He's looking at me weird." In 2002, there were no disappearances. 1 year of complete silence. Because that year, one man who worked at mile 287 was in prison for assault. 11 months. Released January 2003. 5 months later, Rachel disappeared. When David Harrington's team reopened this case, they discovered the Highway 50 killer never stopped hunting. He just learned to hide the bodies better. Interstate 40, a ribbon of asphalt cutting through some of the most desolate terrain in the American Southwest. 400 miles of desert, mountains, and emptiness connecting 2 small cities most people have never heard of. They call it the loneliest road in America. Not officially. That's a marketing slogan trying to turn isolation into adventure. But anyone who's driven it knows the name fits. For hours, you see nothing but sand, sagebrush, and the occasional abandoned building. Cell service drops to nothing. Radio stations fade to static. You're alone with your thoughts and the endless highway. Most long-haul truckers avoid it. The route adds hours to their deliveries. The few gas stations charge premium prices because they can. Next stop is 80 miles away. Local residents know every curve by heart, speeding through at night without seeing another vehicle. For most people, Interstate 40 is just an inconvenient stretch of road between somewhere and somewhere else. But for 7 women, it became their graveyard. Jessica Martinez, 23 years old, recent college graduate with a degree in environmental science, driving from her parents' home to start a new job at a research facility in the western part of the state. August 1998. Jessica was careful. She told her parents her route, promised to call every few hours, kept her car maintained, carried emergency supplies. Her first call, 10 a.m., just started the drive. Second call, 2 p.m., stopped for lunch at a diner, halfway there. Third call, 6:30 p.m., getting low on gas, gonna stop at the next station. Love you guys. That was the last time anyone heard from Jessica Martinez. Her parents called her cell phone repeatedly that night. No answer. By morning they were panicking. They called local police, who put out a bulletin for her vehicle, a red 1995 Honda Accord. 3 days later, a state highway patrol officer found Jessica's car, Desert Rose Truck Stop, mile marker 287, car sitting in the parking lot, unlocked, keys on the driver's seat, purse in the trunk with wallet and ID, cell phone battery dead, plugged into car charger. No sign of Jessica. Initial investigation, local sheriff's department interviewed the truck stop owner, Earl Morrison, 52. Earl said he remembered seeing the red Honda around 7 p.m. that evening. Woman came in, bought gas, used the restroom, left. He was busy with other customers, didn't pay much attention. Did she seem distressed? Talk to anyone? Not that I noticed. It was a busy evening, lots of truckers stopping through. They checked the truck stop. No security cameras. Too expensive for a small business. No witnesses among the truckers. Most paid cash and left no records. Jessica's case went into state missing persons database. Her parents hired private investigators. put up billboards along Interstate 40, missing, Jessica Martinez, last seen Desert Rose truck stop, offered a $50,000 reward. No credible leads ever emerged. Jessica Martinez simply vanished. 1999, Amanda Chen, 27, pharmaceutical sales rep, disappeared after refueling somewhere along Interstate 40. Her car was never found. She'd called her office at 4 p.m., saying she'd make it back by 8 p.m., never arrived. 2000, two women, Sarah Thompson, 31, teacher driving to visit her sister, last confirmed sighting, credit card charge at Desert Rose truck stop, mile 287, 3:47 p.m., car found there 3 days later, Sarah gone. Lisa Morales, 26, graduate student, disappeared in November, no car found, last phone call placed from payphone at minus investigators checked later, approximately 5 miles from mile marker 287, 27-1, Jennifer Blake, 25, photographer on cross-country trip, documented her journey on a blog, last post, stopping at world's most depressing gas station for fuel, Desert Rose something, one employee looks like he hasn't smiled since 1987, photo attached, showed a rundown truck stop, posted 6:15 p.m., never posted again, her rental car found at Desert Rose truck stop 1 week later. By 2001, federal authorities were finally paying attention. 3 disappearances, all linked to the same truck stop. This wasn't coincidence. This was a pattern. The Federal Investigation Bureau sent agents to interview Earl Morrison again. Special Agent Catherine Rivers led the federal task force. 15 years with the Bureau, specialized in serial predator cases. She knew what she was looking at, a hunting ground. Interstate 40 is perfect for a predator, Rivers told her team. Isolated, low traffic, victims are transient, nobody knows they stopped here. By the time someone reports them missing, they're already days gone. The task force descended on Desert Rose truck stop in January 2002, interviewed Earl Morrison extensively, questioned his employees. There were only 2, Earl's nephew Danny Morrison, 28, and a mechanic named Thomas Wade, 34. Earl, clean background, owned the truck stop for 15 years, married, 3 kids, no criminal record, seemed genuinely distressed about the disappearances. This is destroying my business. People are afraid to stop here now. Danny Morrison, Earl's nephew, worked there part-time while attending community college, clean record, alibi for at least 2 of the disappearances. He was in class, confirmed by attendance records. Thomas Wade, mechanic, lived in a trailer behind the truck stop, worked there since 1997. Background check revealed prior arrests. Assault 1994, both charges dropped. Dishonorable discharge from military in 1993 for conduct issues. Agent Rivers focused on Thomas Wade. Where were you on August 15, 1998? How the hell should I remember? That's 4 years ago. That's when Jessica Martinez disappeared. Don't know her. Rivers showed him photos of all 5 missing women. Recognize any of them? Thomas studied the photos carefully. Too carefully. Nope. Never seen them. But Agent Rivers noticed something. When Thomas looked at Jessica Martinez's photo, his jaw clenched. Micro-expression. Lasted half a second. You sure? Jessica Martinez stopped here August 15, 1998. Bought gas. You were working that day. Lots of people stop here. Can't remember everyone. Rivers couldn't hold him. No evidence. No witnesses. No bodies. Just suspicion. The task force searched the area around Desert Rose truck stop. Brought in cadaver dogs. Checked the desert within 5-mile radius. Found nothing. Searched Thomas Wade's trailer with a warrant. Found typical bachelor mess. No evidence of crimes. Frustrated, Rivers expanded the investigation, interviewed every truck driver who regularly used Interstate 40, checked records from other truck stops, analyzed credit card patterns, and found nothing concrete, just the same maddening pattern, women disappearing near mile marker 287, women. Then something unexpected happened. In March 2002, Thomas Wade was arrested, not for the missing women, but for assaulting a male customer at the truck stop. Bar fight. Thomas threw the first punch, sentenced to 11 months, and for the rest of 2002, no women disappeared from Interstate 40. Trona, January 2003, Thomas Wade released from county detention, February, March, April, May. Quiet. Agent Rivers had moved on to other cases. The Interstate 40 disappearances were still open, but no longer active investigations. June 2003. Rachel Foster, 29, business consultant, driving to meet clients. Called her sister at 11:43 p.m. from payphone. "Hey, I'm stopping for gas. Some small place. Desert something. There's only one guy working. I'm gonna make this quick and get back on the road. Be safe. Text me when you leave." Rachel never texted, never called, never arrived at her destination. Her car was found 5 days later. Desert Rose truck stop. Mile marker 287. Same pattern. Keys, purse, everything there. Rachel gone. Her sister immediately told police about the phone call. She said one guy was working, said he was looking at her weird. Agent Rivers was brought back immediately, but by the time she arrived, Thomas Wade had an airtight alibi. He was homesick that night. His girlfriend confirmed it. Phone records showed calls from his trailer during the time frame Rachel disappeared. Rivers was furious. Either the girlfriend's lying, or we're looking at the wrong guy. September 2003. Maria Santos, 24, disappeared. Same location, same pattern. Agent Rivers interrogated Thomas Wade again. He was calm, almost amused. "Look, lady, I've been through this. I don't know these women. I'm just a mechanic fixing cars. 7 women, Thomas. 7. All disappeared from here. Sounds like a dangerous highway. Maybe you should put up warning signs." Rivers wanted to arrest him on principle, but prosecutors said no. No evidence, no bodies, no witnesses. We'd lose in court and he'd walk free forever. The case went cold. Agent Rivers retired in 2004. Her replacement closed the file as unsolved in 2006. For 17 years, the Highway 40 killer case gathered dust. David Harrington discovered the case while researching serial predator patterns for dark case files. Something about Interstate 40 caught his attention. "Marcus," he called to his psychologist. "Look at this. 7 disappearances, same 5-mile stretch of highway, 5-year period, then nothing for 20 years. Marcus Chen studied the case file David had obtained through FOIA requests. Serial offenders don't just stop unless they're incarcerated, dead, or physically unable. There's something else, David said. 2002. The 1 year with 0 disappearances. Look what happened that year. Marcus saw it immediately. Thomas Wade was in prison. 11 months, during which time no women disappeared. The moment he's released, disappearances resume. That's not coincidence, Marcus confirmed. That's correlation. David assembled his team. Sam Reeves for forensic analysis, Jake Morrison for field investigation, Elena Cortez for digital records. "This case is 20 years old," Sam warned. "Evidence trail is ice cold. What makes you think we can solve it now?" David smiled grimly. "Because everyone's older. People who were scared to talk in 2003 might talk now. Thomas Wade is 55 now. If he's still alive, he's getting comfortable. Comfortable people make mistakes." Jake was already pulling up current records. "Thomas Wade, last known address," he paused, "still works at Desert Rose truck stop. Been there 27 years. The room went silent. "He never left," Elena whispered. "He's been there this whole time." "Then let's go talk to him," David said. "But carefully. If he's our killer, he's been free for 2 decades. He's confident. We need him to slip up." Desert Rose truck stop looked exactly like the photos from 1998, maybe more rundown. The pumps were ancient. The convenience store windows were dusty. A faded mechanic on duty sign hung crooked. One customer in the parking lot, a trucker refueling a semi. Jake and David entered the convenience store. A teenager worked the register. David bought coffee and asked casually, "Is Thomas around?" The mechanic, "Yeah, he's out back in the garage. You need car work. Just want to say hi. Old friend." The garage was a metal building behind the main station. Tools scattered everywhere. Classic rock playing on a radio. A man in grease-stained coveralls emerged from under a pickup truck. Thomas Wade at 55 looked harder than his photos from 2003. Weathered skin, grey beard, cold eyes. "Help you?" His voice was gravel. David extended his hand. "Thomas Wade?" "David Harrington. I'm investigating cold cases for a documentary series. Mind if I ask you some questions about the disappearances in the early 2000s? Thomas stared at David's hand, but didn't shake it. "Already talked to the feds about that. 20 years ago. Got nothing to say now." "I understand, But we're looking at the case with fresh eyes, new forensic techniques. Maybe we can finally give those families closure. Families got closure when the feds closed the case, Thomas said flatly. Women took off, ran away from whatever lives they had. Happens all the time. 7 women, David pressed, all disappeared within 5 miles of here. Dangerous highway, lots of bad people out there. Jake had been quietly observing. Now he spoke. You worked here during all 7 disappearances. You were the only constant person at this location during that time period. Thomas's eyes narrowed. So what? I work here. That's not a crime. Rachel Foster called her sister, David said. Right before she disappeared. Said the guy working was looking at her weird. You were working that night. I was homesick. My girlfriend confirmed it. The girlfriend you were living with in 2003. Where is she now? Thomas's jaw clenched. Moved away. Don't know where. Sam Reeves had been examining the garage. Now she called out, David, come look at this. In the back corner, partially hidden by equipment, a trapdoor, leading to a crawl space beneath the garage. What's down there? David asked. Storage, Thomas said quickly. Too quickly. Just old parts. Mind if we look? Yeah, I mind. You got a warrant? No? Then get the hell off my property. David and his team left. But as they drove away, Jake said what everyone was thinking. He's got something in that crawl space, and we're going to find out what. Elena Cortez spent 2 weeks in digital archives, phone records from 2003, credit card transactions, employment records. She was looking for patterns everyone had missed, and she found something extraordinary. Thomas Wade's ex-girlfriend, the alibi for Rachel Foster's disappearance. Her name was Linda Kemp. Elena tracked her down in another state, now married with a different name. Elena called her, Mrs. Henderson. My name is Elena Cortez. I'm investigating the Interstate 40 disappearances from the early 2000s. You dated Thomas Wade during that time. Long silence. Then, I was wondering when someone would finally call. You gave Thomas an alibi for June 2003. I lied. The words came out like they'd been held in for 20 years. Thomas wasn't home that night. He left around 10 p.m., came back around 3 a.m. I was terrified of him. He'd hit me before. When the police came asking, he told me what to say. I was too scared to tell the truth. Elena's heart raced. Why are you telling me now? Because I've lived with the guilt for 20 years. Those women's families deserve the truth. And Thomas, he can't hurt me anymore. I'm 1,500 miles away with a husband who protects me. Elena got a sworn statement, recorded testimony, legal documentation, no alibi. Thomas Wade had no alibi for Rachel Foster's disappearance. David presented Linda's testimony to local district attorney. Combined with the circumstantial evidence, Thomas's presence during all disappearances, the 2002 prison correlation, his behavior when questioned, it was enough. Search warrant granted for Desert Rose truck stop garage and property. Law enforcement executed the warrant at dawn. Thomas Wade was arrested on suspicion of multiple homicides, held without bail. Forensic teams descended on the garage. Sam Reeves led the investigation of the crawl space. What they found made national news. In the crawl space beneath the garage, carefully hidden behind false walls, 7 graves. Jessica Martinez, Amanda Chen, Sarah Thompson, Lisa Morales, Jennifer Blake, Rachel Foster, Maria Santos, all 7 women, buried in shallow graves preserved by the dry desert climate. But there was something else, an 8th grave. Recently dug, empty, waiting. Thomas Wade had been planning to kill again. Thomas Wade's lawyer tried to negotiate, but the evidence was overwhelming. 7 bodies, DNA matches, personal effects, Rachel Foster's jewelry still in Thomas's trailer. In interrogation, Marcus Chen sat across from Thomas. Why? Why these women? Thomas was silent for a long time. Then, surprisingly, he talked. They were rude, he said simply. Entitled. Driving through like they owned the place. Looking down on me. Some waitress from the city thinking she's better than me. Some businesswoman in her fancy car acting like I'm beneath her. So you killed them, Marcus said flatly. I taught them respect. Out here, on this highway, I was God. They were nobody, just another person passing through. Nobody would miss them. Their families missed them. Thomas shrugged. Not my problem. Marcus maintained professional composure, but inside he felt disgust. What about the 8th grave? Thomas smiled. For the next one, Always gotta be prepared. Thomas Wade's trial lasted 3 weeks. Prosecution presented overwhelming evidence. Defense had nothing. Guilty on 7 counts of first-degree murder. Multiple life sentences without parole. At sentencing, families of the victims spoke. Jessica Martinez's mother, "For 26 years, I didn't know where my daughter was. I couldn't grieve properly. I couldn't find peace. Now I can finally lay her to rest." Rachel Foster's sister, "I heard my sister's fear in her last phone call. I should have told her to drive away, but I laughed it off. I'll carry that guilt forever, but at least now Thomas Wade will spend forever in prison." 7 families, 7 eulogies, 7 funerals that should have happened decades ago. David, in studio. Thomas Wade killed 7 women over 5 years. 7 women who stopped for gas at the wrong place at the wrong time. Women who were rude or entitled in his delusional judgment. The Interstate 40 case reminds us, evil hides in plain sight. Thomas Wade wasn't a drifter. He wasn't transient. He worked the same job for 27 years, lived in the same trailer, never moved, because he'd found the perfect hunting ground, and he almost got away with it. The federal investigation came close in 2002, but couldn't make the case. Thomas spent 20 years thinking he was smarter than everyone, but he made mistakes. The year in prison, the micro-expressions, the crawl space, and most importantly, the ex-girlfriend who finally found courage to tell the truth. Linda Kemp's testimony broke this case open. Without her, Thomas Wade might still be free, might have filled that 8th grave. To anyone in an abusive relationship, your testimony matters. Your truth matters. You might be the only person who can stop someone dangerous. To families of missing persons, never stop fighting, never stop searching. Jessica Martinez's family waited 26 years for answers. That's a lifetime of pain, but they finally got truth. And to predators who think they're untouchable, time doesn't erase evidence, it just gives us better tools to find you. Thomas Wade will die in prison. 7 women will finally rest in peace. And Interstate 40 is no longer the loneliest road in America. It's a memorial to those who didn't make it home. Final image, 7 white crosses along Interstate 40, mile marker 287, each with a name. Flowers placed by families. Sunrise over the desert. Peace after decades of darkness. But not all killers are strangers. Sometimes the most dangerous person is the one you trust completely. In our next case, a college professor everyone loved was hiding a secret that would destroy dozens of lives. When one student asked too many questions, she became his final target. Next time on Dark Case Files.